When God made the earth, he accidentally spilled bits of the Rocky Mountains, desert Southwest, and Appalachia in the southern plains of Oklahoma. It was late on the 6th day, and he was tired, so he left it. That's a fact. You can look it up. In this video, we'll look at 6 geographic anomalies in Oklahoma, spectacular places that look like they belong in Colorado or Vermont, and not in the middle of flyover country. Stretching for 120 miles through northwest Oklahoma is the Blaine Escarpment, most often referred to as the Gloss Mountains or Glass Mountains due to the selenite and gypsum crystals that shimmer in the sun. The beautiful region of red shale badlands and gypsum-capped mesas, narrow canyons, caves, and escarpments looks like it belongs in Utah and not the Great Plains. The badlands and mesas are relics of millions of years of geologic history. The gypsum and shale were deposited about 250 million years ago in shallow seas that covered all of western Oklahoma and the central plains of North America. About 70 million years ago, a broad uplift created the Rocky Mountains and raised the central plains above sea level. Centuries of erosion exposed the shale and gypsum, creating the stunning landscapes we see today. One of the most beautiful and notable areas in the region is just outside of Freedom, where the Cimarron River runs along the base of red earth cliffs. Tucked into a narrow canyon a few miles south is Alabaster Caverns, the largest gypsum cave in the world. On the western edge of the region is the Gloss Mountain State Park, with a short but steep hike to the top of Cathedral Mountain, where you can catch sweeping views of the plains. The leg-burning climb is worth the effort. Just watch out for rattlesnakes. If the Gloss Mountains are a bit of Utah in Oklahoma, the Wichita Mountains are a breakaway republic of Colorado on the plains. The granite peaks of the Wichitas first appear as a mirage as they rise incongruously out of the flat farmland. The area has 2 state parks and the spectacular Ouachita Mountains National Wildlife Refuge, with hiking trails, beautiful lakes, and scenic drives that would hold its own in the national park system. The Ouachita Mountains are a glimpse into the past, when the Great Plains were covered in wildlife-filled grasslands. The refuge is home to bison, Texas longhorn cattle, Rocky Mountain elk, white-tailed deer, mountain lions, bobcats, coyotes, collared lizards, prairie dogs, and over 275 species of birds. Even the gateway town to the Ouachita Mountains, Medicine Park, feels more like a Colorado resort town than a village on the Great Plains. In Medicine Park, you'll find bars overlooking the river, hipster cafes, gift shops, and restaurants packed with tourists. In the summer, you can cool down by swimming in the lake in the middle of town. Trust me, if you're ever in the area, it's well worth driving out of your way to explore the mountains and stay a day or two in the resort town of Medicine Park. Salt plains typically form in deserts and mountainous regions, where rivers dry up in basins and leave behind a layer of salt, like the Bonneville Salt Plains in Utah and the Badwater Basin in Death Valley. This is partly why the Great Salt Plains in Oklahoma are a geographic anomaly, because they're 500 miles from the mountains and receive 33 inches of rain each year. Remember how I said Oklahoma was once under an inland sea? Glad you were paying attention, because that fact is relevant here. When the inland ocean receded 70 million years ago, it left behind a thick crust of salt. The remnants of that salty sea crust form the 17 square mile salt plains in northwest Oklahoma, protected by a state park and a national wildlife refuge. Saline-rich groundwater still flows beneath the surface, replenishing the salt plains during floods. The salt plains were an essential stop for nomadic Native Americans who used the salt to preserve meat and to hunt deer, bison, and elk that lived in the area. Modern humans still harvest the salt, which is rich in iodine, by pumping groundwater into evaporation pools, which looks super cool when viewed from above. Today, you can dig in the Great Salt Plains National Wildlife Refuge hunting for selenite crystals. Although tearing apart the land in a protected area may seem strange, it's actually good for the environment. Migratory birds use the water-filled holes and dirt mounds for nests and drinking water, just prepared to be very, very dirty. Smack bang in the middle of the red dirt Gloss Mountains, near the banks of the Cimarron River, sit 60,000 acres of golden sand dunes. How did this sprawling expanse of sand find its way to the middle of the plains, you might ask? Over the centuries, the ever-present Oklahoma wind whipped up sand from the Cimarron River basin and deposited it in giant sand hills. Most of the dunes are covered in sagebrush and grassland, but in the Little Sahara State Park, you'll find an expanse of golden sand that looks totally out of place. The sand dunes and surrounding area are quite beautiful, especially in the evening, when the sun casts long shadows over the sandhills and mesas. However, to explore the dunes, you really need an ATV. The state park is an off-roader's paradise, hosting several raucous events each year. If you can time your visit to the area to coincide with one of these events, and you like noisy vehicles, cheap whiskey, ice-cold long neck beer, and truck flags, you'll have one hell of a good time. Rising from the plains in the southeast corner of Oklahoma is the Ouachita Mountains, a series of folded ridges covered in pine and mixed hardwood forests that look like they belong in West Virginia or Vermont. And that makes sense, because the Ouachita Mountains were once part of a massive chain connected to the Appalachians. When Pangea broke apart, tectonic plates tugged at the new North American continent and separated the longtime partners. No one knows if they miss each other or if they are happy with the arrangement. Much of the area is part of the Ouachita National Forest and features the stunning 70-mile-long Talamina National Scenic Byway, with 22 lookout points and dozens of hiking trails. If you can, visit the Ouachitas in the fall, when it's ablaze with autumnal colors. The Ouachita Mountains are also home to black bears and Sasquatch, two animals not typically associated with the Great Plains. In fact, there are so many Bigfoot in the Ouachita Mountains, an Oklahoma lawmaker introduced a bill for Bigfoot hunting season. Our last out-of-place area in Oklahoma is the spectacular Black Mesa and surrounding badlands. The Wichita Mountains and Ouachita Mountains are remarkable because they rise unexpectedly out of the plains. But as you enter the Black Mesa region, there's a sense that you're entering another world, going back in time to the Wild West. Black Mesa and the surrounding plateaus formed from a volcanic eruption about 3 to 5 million years ago. Over the years, the softer rocks of the area washed away, leaving behind the hard basalt rock from the ancient lava flows that form the mesas, plateaus, and buttes we see today. Since 1935, geologists have removed over 18,000 tons of dinosaur bones from the area, divided among several species, including a Stegosaurus, which roamed the Earth 150 million years ago, or about 5,000 years ago, depending on your sources. Throughout the area, you can still see petrified dinosaur footprints in a petrified forest in the Black Mesa State Park. Although dinosaurs are long extinct, Black Mesa is a biological transition zone, marking the eastern range for many Rocky Mountain animals like black bears, bighorn sheep, pronghorn, and mountain lions. If you drive across Oklahoma, in addition to the out-of-place geography, you'll see something else unexpected. Marijuana dispensaries everywhere. Oklahoma has by far the most dispensaries of any state and is the largest supplier of black market cannabis in the country. I made a video about it. Check it out.